Those of you that watch my videos know that lately I've been carrying a Ruger LCR-X. Now, I'm a big Revolver fan, and when this gun came out, I jumped on the chance to get this as my carry gun. I mean, I carry a lot of different guns for my channel so that I can test them out, but I almost always go back to a Revolver eventually, and the one I've gone back to now is this one. Now, since they made this gun, and since they added the hammer to it, that's made a lot of people ask me the question of, why did they add a hammer to this gun? Before it was double action only, and it was a great carry gun, so why did they need to add the hammer to make it double action, single action? What was the need for that? What's the reason? Isn't it better to just have a double action only revolver for carry? Now, I can see where the argument could be made for double action, single action, or double action only for a carry revolver. Both make sense to me. Now, I personally prefer double action, single action, which is why I'm glad they made this. And apparently a lot of people prefer that, or they wouldn't have made it. A lot of people were asking for it, or they wouldn't have done it. I would like to think that they did it just because I wanted it, but I know it's because a lot of people asked for it in double action, single action, so now they have that version. Well, and since people are asking those questions now, and since they've made this gun in a double action, single action version, that gives me a chance to make a video here answering the question, why would some people want this in a double action, single action gun? Well, mainly there's two reasons I can think of that people want double action, single action. Now, one of them is an actual legitimate reason in my opinion, and one of them is preference, and it's almost like just a perceived advantage. One is an actual advantage, and one is just something that's in people's head as an advantage. And let's talk about both of them. Now, one, let's talk about a mass shooting. Let's talk about being in a mall, a place of business, your work, etc., and someone comes in and decides to start shooting. And I know a lot of us see that every day, so we can't help but think about it. How would we react in that situation? Would we be able to protect ourselves? And in those situations, oftentimes the active shooter has a long gun, a rifle, because it's just better. It's more of a combat weapon. So they want every advantage they can have. We're stuck with just our little carry guns for self-defense. So we have to make more out of what we have, because we don't have a long gun. We can't shoot back with an AR. So let's imagine we're in that situation. We are in the mall, we're in a workplace, whatever, a guy starts shooting. We get pinned down somewhere, behind a desk, behind a trash can, behind a bench, wherever. The bad guy doesn't see us, but he's about to breach our perimeter. He's about to approach on us where he's going to see us. So we have to fire first. We have to. We have less of an advantage than he does, so we have to act quickly. Well, in that case, you're going to want your first shot to be as accurate as it can possibly be. Because it may hit, it may miss, but one thing it's definitely going to do is give away your position. So with that accurate first shot, you're going to want to be able to cock the hammer. Because when I put my finger on the trigger now, the effort it takes to just apply a slight bit of pressure is not much different than what it takes to fire it. Firing it is almost not like an actual physical act. It's almost like just a thought now. You think about firing it. The extra pressure needed on your finger to fire in single action is almost unnoticeable. It's almost just like you just give yourself the mental cue to fire and it happens. It's so little effort. That allows your first shot to count for a lot more. It allows it to be a lot more accurate. And in that situation, you're going to want the double action, single action so that you can make your first shot count for everything it can possibly count for. Now that's a legitimate advantage if you ask me. That is something that it can actually happen and it can actually serve you well because you do have that option of that much, much lighter first shot. But the other advantage that a lot of people see that I don't really think is a real issue, but it really does matter to some people mentally, is because it's double action, single action, the double action pull is a little heavier than the regular double action only gun. The double action only gun is more like carrying like a Glock or a semi-automatic striker fired gun. It doesn't have a hammer. You pull the trigger, there's no manual safety, and a lot of people start thinking, wow, that trigger is too dangerous with no safety. Whereas when the trigger is just a little bit heavier, and it really isn't that much heavier, it's just slightly heavier, it's just a little bit heavier than it is in the double action only model, and it takes a little more effort. But because it takes a little more effort, people are like, I'm safe, I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with that double action trigger because it's a little heavier. It makes them feel like they're not going to fire the gun by accident. They're not going to have a negligent discharge. So that little bit of extra confidence they get from thinking my trigger is safe makes them more likely to carry the gun and feel comfortable with the gun. Now, whether that's actually true or not, that the trigger is enough heavier to make a difference if you were in a situation where you would negligently fire the gun anyway, it may not even be enough to make a difference. It may still fire anyway, but it gives people that peace of mind, whether it's real or not. So right there is two very good reasons why people like double action, single action. Like I said, one of them is a real advantage if you ask me, and I like having that advantage, which is why I like double action, single action revolvers. The other one is just more of a perceived advantage that makes people feel more at ease because of, their lack of knowledge of the gun or whatever. It's just something that makes them feel better. And there's nothing wrong with something about your gun just making you feel better, especially if it's going to make you more likely to carry it. So pretty much in a nutshell, that's why I want a double action, single action gun, and that's why I think a lot of people want double action, single action guns. Now, like I said, I can see argument for both. Double action only carry revolvers have great consistent triggers, and I really like them. I own a couple of them. But as far as concealed carry goes, I prefer double action, single action, and that kind of gives you a reason why I prefer them. Oh, one more little note that I want to tell people. People, when you shake these and you hear that, people are like, oh my God, is there something wrong with the gun? Is the firing pin that loose? What is it? They panic. And I get emails all the time asking me, what's that rattling? Oh my God, is my gun broken? Or is there something wrong with it? Or they made that cheaply? No, that's just your transfer bar rattling around in there. Transfer bars have to be very loosely set so that they can move up and down easily when you cock your hammer. Because when you cock your hammer, it slides up. And for it to do that, it can't be set in there really hard or it would stick. So it's pretty loosely put in there. I mean, it's put in there very securely, but it's loosely fastened. It's just held by a little eyelet at the bottom of it that shifts up and down and moves it. And it folds, flops around loosely inside there. So what you're hearing is your transfer bar safety. Don't worry about it. It's normal. Where's the double eye? You ain't even my real dad. With a hammer added. And a lot of people have been asking the question, why did they add a hammer? Why they add a hammer? What the fuck did I even say? Now, a lot of people, though, when this gun came out, have started asking the question, well, that was way longer than it needed to be. Way longer.